All right. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I do want to keep this short because it's really important to me that we hear from our guests. You are critical stakeholders during these challenging times, and your stories have not been amplified enough. So I really want to get to all of you. Thank you to our gracious host, the Dorchester Food Co-op, of which I'm a founding member. And so it is, although my family and I now call Hyde Park our home, Dorchester was our home for over a decade, and it's very good to be back here, a place that deeply understands community and who has been a pace setter in so many ways. So for over 2 years, they brought affordable and healthy foods to our community, and we're coming together in community and in solidarity at a time of really just profound inhumanity. The hurt and harm that our shared constituents and the people and communities that we serve are experiencing is undeniable. And the worst part of it is it's 100% preventable.
Yep.
And the fact that people with a majority would choose to use the majority to exact and enact harm instead of to keep families whole and safe and healthy, and it is really unconscionable. So I'm just grateful that you're all here. I'm grateful for all the ways in which the city and the state continue to stand in the gap, in which our community partners continue to stand in the gap, while this administration continues to make history for all of the wrong reasons. For the first time in the history of this program, the Trump administration is refusing to issue SNAP benefits to our most vulnerable neighbors. Millions of people woke up this weekend not knowing whether they will receive their monthly SNAP benefits. And I do want to say this because my colleagues across the aisle love to push propaganda and misinformation. And there have been not dog whistles, bullhorns about who are SNAP beneficiaries. When you're talking about 42 million people, 1.2 million veterans, we're talking about seniors, the disabled, babies, people from every walk of life. SNAP beneficiaries are in rural communities. They are in urban communities. And yes, they are even in suburban communities. So you are talking about many, many people who are the working poor. But I have colleagues who believe that struggle and hardship discriminate, who believe that poverty is a character flaw and a moral failing. But we all know that the majority of SNAP beneficiaries are gainfully employed and are the working poor living paycheck to paycheck like most people. Here in Massachusetts, over 1 million residents rely on SNAP to put food on the table. And more than half of those cases are right here in Greater Boston in the Massachusetts 7th Congressional District. So as this GOP manufacturer shutdown continues, might I add that they have put harsh work requirements on SNAP, on those who are hungry being able to access food, but my colleagues will not even show up to work. So they have been on a taxpayer-funded vacation for the last month. Let me be clear. Congress created the SNAP program to ensure that our most vulnerable communities remain fed despite a government shutdown. Every day that the Trump administration drags their feet, they are in defiance of court orders, and they refuse to reissue November SNAP benefits. Real people are suffering irreparable harm. Today, we're going to hear from a group of folks that urgently need our attention and support. Sitting with me at this roundtable, these stories have not been heard. I have not seen them. Are owners and managers of corner stores, bodegas, mobile and stationary markets, urban farmers, as well as other SNAP and medium-sized grocers that depend on SNAP sales for their operation. We've been very focused on the SNAP beneficiaries, but not the people that provide the food and rely on SNAP for their business models, whether it's a for-profit or nonprofit. These folks all ensure that our communities have access to healthy, culturally relevant food. And today, Trump and Republican shutdown is putting them at grave risk. So again, I thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. I look forward to hearing from you and understanding what I can do to assist. I also want to thank the Department of Transitional Assistance and the Mayor's Office of Food Justice for joining us today, as well as my colleagues, City Council President at large, Rusi Louis-Jean, City Councilor at large, Councilor Julia Mejia, City Councilor Brian Worrell, State Representative Chris Worrell, and of course at large Boston City Councilor Henry Santana. I am so grateful to all of you. Thank you for standing in the gap during these deeply challenging times. And I know the issue of food justice and access is not new to any of you because I closely follow what you do and we've partnered on so many things. Okay, so I think we're just going to get into the conversation. Someone had a mic that they wanted me to pass.
That SNAP sales account for 10 or 11% of our sales, and they're really important for our neighborhood. We're here in Dorchester. We're serving Bostonians across the city, but here in Dorchester.
Very helpful, thank you. Anyone else in that vein? Okay. To our nonprofit leaders, could any of you just speak to, we keep talking about this SNAP cliff, and I'm wondering if folks could speak more to that and the unexpected reductions of the program impact your ability to operate as an organization. Just, what are your fears? What are you seeing? Talk to me about the challenges. And then just for the purposes of the press, can you just say your name and your affiliation and then speak to the challenges and what your concerns are?
Sure. Hi, my name is Morgan Barlin. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Eastie Farm. Eastie Farm's an urban farm in East Boston. We're also a community-based organization, nonprofit. East Boston is an environmental justice community. There's also very high rates of food insecurity in the neighborhood. There are folks who rely on SNAP. There's other folks who are not eligible for SNAP for many reasons. But because of this, Eastie Farm uses a model where we integrate our community-supported agriculture program, Farm Share. So no matter if you can pay above market rate or way below that, you get the same exact grocery share, a farm share, every week. What's tricky is we're trying to increase the number of folks who are using our CSA who use SNAP. So instead of paying $47, which is the market rate, we allowed for a $20 share. We're trying to grow that number, and that's tricky when now Eastie Farm has had to cover the cost of 6 weeks of CSA shares for folks who had already subscribed in advance for the whole season. We also ended up messaging lots of folks who have come to us and they've filled out a free food questionnaire. Anybody who said they had SNAP, we texted them on Friday and said, hey, we know you're about to lose your benefits. Would you like to come? Because there were some unclaimed CSA shares they were able to give out for free. So we spoke with some families who were very nervous, didn't yet really have an action plan for how they're going to get food in the next few weeks. And so we said, we'll try to text you every Friday if we have leftover food. But when we're trying to grow the amount of folks who are buying our CSA with SNAP because it's a great deal anyway, this is now difficult for our organization. We did not anticipate even the possibility of not being able to receive the SNAP funds. And we're still going to promise the CSA shares to the families who are expecting them for this whole time. So thank you for inviting us here and for hosting this conversation. It would be very helpful to also hear from you what you'd like to see from us. Eastie Farm also, unfortunately, has lost our authorization to accept SNAP benefits. And when we applied for reauthorization, we tried to call the FNS and through the USDA. You get a voicemail saying that this person's been furloughed. So we don't know the status of our reauthorization. And so we're covering the cost for many reasons. If you, Congresswoman Pressley, have any recommendations for folks in the USDA or FNS who we can talk to, who maybe is not furloughed right now, who could let us know about the status or try to accelerate that, that would really help our business in particular.
Okay, let's talk offline about that. I thank you for raising that. And I appreciate your just, again, speaking to what the challenges have been for the people in the communities that you serve. And you also hire from the community as well. So I do want to remind people, again, these are business models, and it's not only about the communities that you serve, but also the people that you employ, and how important this stabilization is for your livelihood as well. Is there anything else you'd like to add
Sure.
in that vein or outside of that?
Yeah, we also have a youth program called our Climate Corps program where we can reemploy, or we don't employ, they're participating in a program. So we pay them throughout the summer to pack and distribute CSA shares. So we're able through the CSA to also fund youth around Boston for green job experience.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak to challenges and what you're seeing? And again, just your name and affiliation and the challenges. And
Yeah, my name's Annie. Annie Gibbons, she, her pronouns. I'm with Fresh Truck. We are a mobile market. We run produce markets around Boston selling fresh fruits and vegetables below costs or below grocery store prices. 85% of our shoppers rely on SNAP benefits. The vast majority of our shoppers are first going to use their HIP benefits. So we're sitting at this really unique moment where we continue to be a critical resource at the state level outside of SNAP. But our shoppers have been calling us nonstop the past week. We have spent the last week in overdrive getting communications out in 7 different languages. People are scared. People are confused. They want to know if they can continue to access HIP as a resource. The answer is yes, as long as they have at least a cent on their EBT card. But even getting those communications out and getting that word of mouth out, we're doing everything we can to work with our community partners. And we're expecting a pretty big surge in demand. And we're built for this moment where mobile, we can go where folks need us, but no nonprofit can fill the gap of the federal government.
That's right.
A family of 4 can't eat for a month off $60 worth of produce using their HIP benefits. And we want folks to know that we're going to continue to show up and continue to be a resource. But we were always meant to be a supplement to the overall nutritional needs of a family over the course of the month.
can you say the statistic you offered again there? And I want to ask everyone to project because we are competing with some ambient noise, okay? I'm getting some telepathic signs from the back. Okay, I got you. Okay. So what was the statistic that you offered? You said a family of 4 cannot.
A family of 4, they can't feed themselves with $60 worth of produce that they used or purchased with HIP dollars.
That's right. You know, and we all agree in the richest nation in the world that hunger, it is a moral failing, it is a humanitarian crisis, and it is a policy choice. So this was already a struggle, and this is just compounding things. I do want to say that I was slipped a note, and hopefully I'm reading it legibly here, that the White House, as you know, we've all been, the two judges ruled for the White House to disperse those contingency funds that are $5 to $6 billion. And we have received word, it's breaking news, that the White House will provide some partial payment. I don't know any more than that because I just had the note slipped to me. Whatever it is, it should be more. I can say that, having not even seen the number. You know, I think a lot about the words of Coretta Scott King, who said that, contempt for a working man and woman is violence, and starving a child is violence. Again, the harm is undeniable, and it is 100% preventable. So we certainly do have the emergency funds to provide people with the sustenance that they need. Food is dignity. Food is health. Food is medicine. So I look forward to learning more about exactly what the White House will be providing. But in the meantime, want to continue to hear from our partners.
Hi, my name is Felipa. I have a 2 business, one in Revere. Okay. Hi, my name is Felipa Zelaya, and I have 2 business, one in Revere and one in Everett. And I can see all those situations is affect us community. And the business in Everett, next my business, they have an apartment for low income, and they live retirement people and veterans. And I can see how this situation affect those people. And now they say, oh, we worry because we don't have the SNAP program now. And we had to ask money for my kids, and you can see how the fear in those face. I can hear all those stories for single mothers, how they worry, how they gonna do now. And those situation is terrible, terrible. And that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I see your emotion. Yeah. Each of you is, answered a unique call of service, and for that we're grateful. We know you're deeply compassionate and empathetic people, and so it's understandable that it's upsetting because no one should be going hungry and having to make these sorts of choices. A lot of parents are going without so that their children can have something. So I'm grateful to each and every one of you. Would any of our other partners like to speak to? And then I'll certainly turn it over to any of my colleagues.
And this is so personal to the point where I will go out and eat at different places. I can't do that right now. And I'm taking whatever money that I've used for that, and that will go to gift cards, to whatever pantries need gift cards. I literally can't do that right now. It's just too personal. And I will also say, back in the day, single mother, 2 boys, I was on WIC. I did get a free refrigerator from someone else, and I do know what it means to count every penny, nickel, and quarter to put something in a gas tank to get your children to school. So this is very, very personal to me as well. We at the Urban Farming Institute on Pat Spence, we will lose a percentage of SNAP dollars, and a lot of those dollars went to HIP as well. And we are here. It's the money, but we also want to make sure that our community is eating the best possible food for all the things that we are enduring right now. So, and the food that is culturally relevant, the callaloo, the lalo, the Scotch bonnet, the peppers, the okra. So we want to make sure our community has the funding to do that, but also to be ensured that we're eating the best possible food. So it's very personal, and we will respond. We have had a coupon of our own, and we're going to increase that number for everybody, anybody that walks in, because the most important thing is to make sure that food is in our community with our seniors who at times stop cooking. They're getting older and don't want to do that and might turn to minute rice and other packaged meals. We want to make sure they're getting that fresh food, make sure our babies are getting that fresh food to get a good start. So we're here to help everybody, all the farms. We're just trying to produce as much food as possible. And for us, that was 15,000 pounds of food that goes directly through our farm stand on Fridays, directly to our community. And we don't look at cost centers anymore. The most important thing for UFI is to ensure that our community is eating the freshest possible food. And we will help everybody that walks through our doors.
I'm so grateful for your saying that. Again, you referenced our seniors. They need to take medications. These are practical things, but food is medicine. And the Massachusetts 7th has some of the worst health outcomes in the Commonwealth, and we've made so many adjustments because in the past, if someone was in need of food, often the food that they were being provided was contributing to those health disparities. You all hear me say that sobering statistic all the time, that there's a 30-year difference in life expectancy from Cambridge to Roxbury. So can anyone else want to speak to that SNAP cliff, and for our HIP vendors and urban farmers, how much doesn't these impacts on SNAP impact your ability to provide healthy, fresh produce and foods? Anyone else want to speak to that?
I'm Antonio Mateo Garcia, board member of the Dorchester Food Co-op, pronouns he, they. I know one solution that we're working on at the co-op is making a donation grocery fund. We are by the community, for the community. And so one thing we're trying to do is, I know everybody has gone to a museum or a store recently where you have the option to do a donation roundup. Well, it'll be essentially like that, plus if you want to donate any extra. And then this will go into a private fund. So if anybody ever needs funds, whether you're on SNAP or not, because USDA did send out an email that to not give special privileges to SNAP recipients, which I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Yeah. Food is not a privilege. That's right. It's a right. So one thing we're doing is to get this donation fund fully by the community, of course, and this will help people, whether you're short $5, $10, $20 for your groceries, this will help. So that's one thing we're doing. It's something small. It may not be the full solution, but with all the community support, I know it can make a big thing.
Antonio, thank you for naming that. And please, everyone, use this platform in that way, because even though the crises that we're navigating are layered and people are dealing with limited resource across the socioeconomic spectrum, still, this is Massachusetts. This is Boston. This is the MA7, and many people are asking, how can we help? What can we do, even with our limited resource? And so if you can speak to that as well, in your presentations, please do so and take advantage of this platform. Would any of my colleagues like to ask any questions or have any statements that they would like to say? Anybody? Any of my colleagues? Counselor Rep, no pressure. Just want to have an equality of voice here.
Sure. Thank you, Congresswoman Pressley, for convening us. Thank you to everyone for being here. I think, like you said, this is a manufactured crisis for a real problem of food insecurity. A number of the folks around this table, including Dorchester Food Co-op, including Aliza Wassman, were doing the work of, before this was happening, we have a very acute food injustice issue. The Food Justice Access Coalition convened a number of me and a number of my colleagues just a month ago to talk about the very acute food insecurity issues. So I'm wondering if folks can, I know we're talking about SNAP right now, I'm wondering if folks can talk a little bit about, before this unjust act by the president, what are the problems that you're seeing in community in terms of food access? On the city council, we proposed a hearing order to how to support our nonprofit grocers, and also to explore the idea of what it would look like for there to be a city-owned grocery store, because of the struggles that we see so often with the daily table closing, with how difficult and how hard it is to maintain a business. So just want to hear a bit about, before this crisis that is a $240 million a month hole in the Commonwealth, that, like, even though we have efforts right now with philanthropy to raise money, nothing is really going to fill that hole. We know that this was a problem that existed prior. So if you could sort of decouple this moment from the issues that we were facing prior and help us brainstorm how we can solve some of them, I think that would be helpful.
Hi, my name is Maggie Cohn. I work for the Cooperative Fund of the Northeast. We have made loans to a number of food co-ops in the region, including Dorchester. All of them try to get authorized to do SNAP, to take SNAP and to take WIC, because they want to serve their communities. And as the Congresswoman mentioned, these are working people who just don't make enough money as food prices go up to keep their cupboards stocked. I was at a gathering on Saturday in Willimantic, Connecticut, of food co-ops from across the region. The Willimantic Food Co-op had been offering for the last week of October an extra 20% discount to anyone who came in with a SNAP card to help people beef up what they had in their pantry. And then they got that letter from USDA saying you can't treat people who shop with SNAP different from other shoppers. And if you do, you will lose your authorization to take SNAP, which sounds to me very much like they kind of want people to starve. I mean, I don't quite know how else to read that, right? So they took down all their signs and we took it off social media. And I mentioned that to some of my colleagues this morning who work with other food co-ops around the Northeast. And I just thought this is worth sharing. There's a food co-op in Ithaca, New York, called Green Star, and they have something called the 13% flour discount, FLOWER, so it would match your outfit, where they give that discount to anyone who gets assistance from SNAP, unemployment, a Pell Grant, a housing choice voucher, Medicaid, WIC, free school lunch. I'm not sure what TANF cash assistance is. I think that might be an Ithaca thing. Healthy Food for All, or SSI, or disability insurance. So they have this whole list of qualifications. So they're not picking out one category, and they've been doing that for years. So that might be a workaround. I don't know. But I wanted to thank you for convening this. This is really important stuff.
Thank you. Thank you for your efforts.
Thanks, Maggie. So my name is Sarah Sefa, and I'm on the board of the Dorchester Food Co-op, and we are a non-religious association, but I just want to say that this is a moral issue. Mm-hmm. Feeding children is a moral issue. Mm-hmm. And the magic of being a part of a co-op is that my share, my $100 share that makes me an owner here gets to be combined with federal money. And I have a question for the city of Boston. We have city of Boston councilors here. You know, I mentioned that 11% of our sales is SNAP, but that is complemented with the Double Up Food Bucks. Many people are using the Double Up Food Bucks. I want to know if people in the city of Boston will still be able to access Double Up Food Bucks with their SNAP card when there is no SNAP. So that's for people who are buying vegetables with SNAP. But the special thing about the co-op is that we put our little resources together. And this is really key. So, like, man cannot live on bread alone. We need spirit, we need love, but we also need a full diet. Like, not only bread. I have anemia from B12. I need that in my food. And so we need a full diet. And when we put our little pieces together, we get a full diet. And so, you know, we need to feed each other. When we come together in cooperation, we can all be part of creating those loaves and fishes where they don't exist. And that's what the co-op is about. So I hope that the city of Boston will still be able to help by complementing, and that we'll be able to put our little resources together so that we have a grand feast every single day for every single person, and no child goes hungry. The effect of one hungry child, this is the effect on their ability to concentrate in school and to be okay down the line. I have a 4-year-old. You know, can we look our children in the face while children in our country are starving? No, we can't. It's time for us to put everything we can together. Thank you.
I'll add to that too. As a 100% permanently disabled veteran myself, I've been trying to get food stamps for the past year and a half. Keeps getting told, oh, you make too much, but I'm not able to work a normal job, nor will anybody hire a 100% disabled veteran too. It affects a lot of us, and I see a lot of the time those within the community that are affected most are the ones standing up right now, and I'm happy to see it. But I'm very confident that the community support we get from doing programs like the donations we're trying to do, even if it's just giving a box of non-perishables to your neighbor, it's the community support we need more than ever right now, and we need it to be shouted to the rooftops. That's all I'm really going to say.
Yeah. Well, that was powerful what you offered, and thank you, Antonio. And again, I can't believe the things that my colleagues say because I see the things that they do. I don't know what kind of patriotism starves the children of your country on purpose. I don't know what kind of patriotism denies food to 1.2 million veterans. And 13% of our military personnel were heading into the Veterans Day holiday. Mm-hmm. There's nothing patriotic about starving the children of your country and taking food out of the mouths of veterans and active military.
And I can honestly say, as a veteran myself, I don't feel supported by my country, the admin that's running the country right now, especially with the risk that being at the Veterans Hospital and my providers telling me, hey, get ready, there might be some major changes. And they're telling me this about the services at the VA. They're telling me about the food stamps that are coming in because everybody's getting these emails, but the people aren't getting these emails. It's the providers, it's the businesses, it's all these entities are getting it, but nobody's really breaking it down and explaining it to the people the way it needs to be. Because I feel that the admin, they're just too frightened. They're doing it over tweets and email newsletters, again, to these businesses, but nothing's coming directly to the people, and it's honestly showing how cowardice they're being.
Well said. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Vicki Siggers. I'm with Mattapan Food and Fitness, the food access manager. And I'm just going to springboard off of what he just said. We run the farmers market. You have visited our market
many times.
Many times.
Yes.
And we just closed. And there's a part of me that's like, we probably closed just in time before all of this happened because it was the last Saturday of October. So to some degree, it didn't affect our farmers, who we haven't talked about, because this is their income also. but Antonio's saying the things that he's talking about. There are myself and another team person, and we are the ones who are talking to people individually, explaining how their HIP works, the fact that they have it, because many of them don't know they have it. We spend a lot of time at the market doing one-on-one conversations. I don't care how many pieces of paper you give somebody. It could be in many languages, which is very helpful. But one of the things that I've learned from Pat is that many people can't read. So having this conversation with them and also taking them by the hand and showing them how to use their SNAP and HIP is so important.
They need navigators.
Yes, and that's fine. That's what I'm there for.
Yeah.
But also to teach them how to advocate for themselves so that they can be the ambassadors and that they're also sitting at this table.
Wow.
And that they're sharing that information with their families, with their neighbors, with their community. Like you said, we all have to do this together. And, the market closed. I really thought, oh, good, I'm going to have a couple of days off. Not. But I'm just really glad that we are all here together and that we're not on some boat all by ourselves trying to figure this thing out. And I believe that we are definitely going to get through it. It's not our first time. And, so thank you so much.
We've always had to stand up mutual aid and community supports when government systems failed.
Yeah.
We have had to do that. That is true, but this should not be happening at all. I do want to turn over to Councilor Mejia, who's done so much work in the literacy and what I think she coined the information justice space. Speaking to what you were saying about no matter how many papers you distribute and how many languages, many people cannot read. Councilor Mejia?
Thank you, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, because you always understand the assignment that those closest to the pain should be closest to the power. And this is what it looks like when you create space for people to really speak their truth. And so I just want to say thank you for always showing up the way that you do. And yes, so Pat, when you talk about being a single mom, I grew up with a single mom. My mom worked. We still got on food stamps, right? And I had my own humbling experience as a working adult, had to get on food stamps to make sure that my daughter and I could eat, and on WIC. So the character and the face of what they're trying to portray in terms of who they're targeting, I would be that person and you are that person. And so that narrative, we have to reclaim that narrative and demonstrate that it's a false narrative because there's so much more going on politically. And so, Vicky, to the point of the literacy space, my mom struggled to read and write, and I was the official translator for my entire family. But one thing that was really, that struck me is that the school to prison pipeline is being fed by young people who can't read or write, bouncing from grade to grade. But then the impact of that as adults who are embarrassed because they can't read or write is what this information justice is all about, which is why our office established a literacy task force so that we can get a handle on literacy, because that's also another lever of what's driving poverty here in the city of Boston. So I just want to say I see that, and I understand that there's so much work that we need to do around literacy here, because information justice, you don't know what you don't know. And if people are sometimes taking advantage of that, and so people are going literally without. And then, Sarah, to your point in terms of what the city can do, I know that the city is going to talk a little bit about this, but I can just show you two things that I can point to. One is that we partnered up with Codman Square Farmers Market because we knew that during the winter time, there weren't additional double up bucks.
Yeah.
And so we partnered up with a foundation, and they subsidized, just as a pilot in Dorchester, to be able to stand in that gap. Right. So this is where philanthropy has to step up, because government is not going to take care of everyone. And that is the sad reality. But we have to continue to push back on government. But we also have to ask our philanthropic partners to step up as well. Because there are a lot of corporations who are doing business in the city of Boston that could be doing their fair share and making sure that our people do not go hungry. And so there's an opportunity for us to really, tap into those opportunities there. And then I do have a question now that I have the mic. I'm curious about infrastructure, because we're talking about meeting the needs specifically of those who are going to be dealing with food insecurity, but that is also going to be your jobs and your employees. And I'm curious if you could just tell me 3 months from now, 6 months from now, what this could potentially look like for those who you are employing right now at the moment. So let's think outside of the most immediate. I'd love to hear what infrastructure you're thinking about and how you're going to look at sustaining yourself in the next 3 to 6 months, just because we have to get ahead of this and we have to seize this opportunity to start thinking about it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you, Counselor. My name is Whitney Celeste. I'm one of the newest board members at the Dorchester Food Co-op. And for us, I love the word infrastructure because it means we're setting up systems and we can feel how we want to feel. But if we don't set up systems and ways of operating that keep what we're doing sustainable, we can repeat it and be true to it, right? So for example, doing a roundup program at the Dorchester Food Co-op is a great way for us to collect a pool of money. But when you think about systems and ways that we do things, recently, Mike and I, we met with Instacart, right? Instacart is a way for us to deliver groceries. And we have to understand and respect that some people are differently abled, right? We can have the means to give them the food, but how do we get the food to them? So that's a small piece of infrastructure that we're trying to bring here to the Dorchester Food Co-op, so that way we can get food to as many people as we possibly can. And so, yes, for us, that's a piece of system that we're trying to implement here at Dorchester Food Co-op. And we also have to think about our inventory, right? So in that conversation, Mike and I are speaking to the distributor to think about, well, what is that going to look like when we're ordering? What are the margins looking like? So we're better off getting ready, right? And organizing. Most recently, Alyssa was with me when we had the meeting in Roxbury with State Representative Chana Tyler, where we basically founded the Boston Food Emergency Response Coalition, essentially to get us ready for people to volunteer, give money, give time, give services and resources. Like if you have cooked food that you want to deliver, that you want to offer as a restaurant, there are programs that already exist. It's about finding the wheels that already exist and how do we put them all together in a system so that way we can help the community. So,
Thank you.
Hi, Congresswoman Ron Gary, Tropical Foods, and it's nice to be with everybody. It's inspiring to see people see the farms and the good work that everybody's doing at the street level, and we appreciate all that. Our business is about 30% food stamps, so it's going to be hugely impactful.
Wow.
And so far, people are on a wait and see approach. I guess my question is, what if this goes 2 or 3 weeks? I mean, everything that we're talking about feels like it's days. What happens if it goes longer than that? What are the plans? Because it's going to be very impactful. And it feels like they're spoiling for a fight, and that this is a pawn in a larger game. And it just feels like we're kind of being used in a sense to send a different message. So what happens if this goes longer than a week or 2 or 3? Does anybody have any thoughts or ideas?
Good question.
I'll defer to them first. There's one. Is this mic work? The big one? Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
Hi, Eliza Wasserman, Mayor's Office of Food Justice for the City of Boston, Director. Appreciate, Congressman, your dedication to this, convening us and your team's work to really lift up this issue. I don't have all the answers for if this continues, but I appreciate you raising that. That's very much the way my office and the city are thinking about what are the short-term things we can do right now, which on Friday, the mayor announced a fund that the Boston Foundation is leading to try to muster private resources to match some city resources from my office to really meet the immediate emergency food resource needs of people in our community who have started to feel these impacts on Saturday. But we know that right after a few weeks, we can't fill the entire month's the gap for an entire month's SNAP benefit for the 140,000 Boston residents who receive SNAP benefits, which I do want to add are really concentrated in 6 zip codes in Roxbury, Dorchester, Hyde Park, and Mattapan. And this is really disproportionately impacting many of our communities and stores that are have deep roots in communities. And we want to really make sure that the stores can still stay part of the communities for the many people who shop there, including SNAP recipients and people who pay with any other type of resources, regardless of anybody's household food budget. So I don't have direct answers around if this continues, but we had a call with many of the organizations here and other partners who are doing the work on the ground on Friday and are looking at what working groups we can put together both to address the emergency needs and think about shared infrastructure. One thing that has come about, the city had partnered with Mass General and the YMCA of Greater Boston last year to create a shared cold storage collaborative food access hub in Roxbury, which is in the process of getting set up, and we'll be able to support more organizations in the community in these next few months who are looking for, are doing food drives, have access to increased fresh food that they are trying to get out to folks who need no cost or low cost food in this crisis period, and making that resource available as the collaborative is still sort of figuring out its longer term model. But I think a lot of it is going to be all of us coming together, whether it's grocery stores, small stores, nonprofits, government, and understanding the different resources that different folks need, because we know our emergency food system was already overtaxed before this. I definitely think that's part of the strategy here. I do want to speak to Double Up Food Bucks really briefly and answer your question, Sada. But I think the particular impacts of SNAP as a program that has existed for over 60 years and there have been attempts in that period of 60 years to gut it, and the foundation it lays under which HIP, Double Up Food Bucks, Food is Medicine, all these other programs are laid upon the foundation of SNAP, which is unique in giving people, even unique from WIC, in giving people the opportunity to choose and go to a grocery store and have dignity and not make people wait in lines outside. So I would say our strategy is really trying to, as much as possible, maintain that kind of choice in any ways that we partner with nonprofits, businesses, et cetera, and know that our emergency food system, as it is struggling to meet the need of this additional crisis, is a huge part of the solution and cannot fully, the same way any city or state budget cannot fully replace the federal responsibility for SNAP as a national federal program. So for Double Up Food Bucks, the program is continuing to operate at Dorchester Food Co-op and 5 other stores in East Boston, Roxbury, and Dorchester, and those folks who do have SNAP benefits remaining on their EBT cards can continue to get 50% discount on fresh fruits and vegetables. Unfortunately, similar to the rule that was mentioned earlier, because we have federal funding for the program from USDA, there is not directly through the program a way to continue providing benefits to SNAP recipients beyond providing the discount to folks, to money spent with SNAP. But we are looking at ways that we can support those communities and those stores and people who, maybe not specifically targeting SNAP recipients, to make sure that we are using all the levers that we have to reach, again, bolster people's access to continue going to, whether it's a farmer's market, grocery store, mobile market, CSA, and continuing to choose the foods that are, fresh and culturally relevant and those that their household wants.
Okay.
And I just want to add to that because you raised a good point, right? This crisis is going to continue well beyond just the immediate crisis that we're facing right now with November with the shutdown. Congress also passed a number of measures that are going to restrict eligibility for people, stricter work rules, changes to eligibility for non-citizens. These are people that are going to need additional help. And, you know, at the Erin Quinn, Assistant Commissioner for Policy and Programs at DTA, and we look at these policies and we realize you're absolutely right. The Food Security Network, Emergency Food Security Network, cannot make up the difference for people that are going to entirely lose benefits. And Antonio, to your earlier point, we have conversations with people every day that lose benefits and cannot believe that the amount of money that they make puts them over the eligibility threshold for SNAP. It's a bigger conversation that I think I'm so happy to be at the table with all of you as community members, because to the conversations around communication, right? How do we navigate? How do people understand the changes to SNAP? How do they even read the pages and pages and pages of notices that they get, even when they are in 7 languages? I think it is just a conversation that has to extend not just to the emergency that we have right now, but how we're going to face this in an attack, essentially an attack on SNAP and the stability of food as a right to people. So absolutely, I think we'll have to continue in the policy space as well.
I agree. I know some final thoughts. We do have to close, unfortunately. Yes. Okay. I don't know who was next.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Congresswoman. I really appreciate it. Christina Petroulis from the Mass Food System Collaborative. We're a statewide advocacy organization. And as we think about like SNAP is it generates for every dollar spent in SNAP generates $1.50 in revenue for the business and economic activity. This is for farmers, farm stands, farm markets. It's for small business. It's for everybody. So how do we support? I think that the one way that we could support is everyone shop at places that they don't normally shop at, and go and support those farmers or those farm markets that you're not normally supporting, or those retailers you're not normally supporting, just to boost up that economic activity there as well. So we can also continue to have those, robust retailers, farms in our community.
Thank you for that action item. Yeah, appreciate that.
I'll just quickly note there's been a few difficult conversations I've had to have with CSA SNAP subscribers, where one woman called me and said, my daughter started working and now I've lost my SNAP eligibility. What can I do? And somebody else recently, I was trying to ask him when he came for free food, what's your plan now that you're losing SNAP? And he had to call his son to translate for us to have a conversation. And, it makes it difficult when you're trying to provide them a resource. They're asking you, and I don't want to tell them to go to the USDA FNS website, because when you go on there, it says something about illegal aliens and gender mutilation, and it's so upsetting. So where do we go? A trusted source. I don't know if that's maybe the OFJ, the Office of Food Justice in Boston, or some site, maybe MDAR, the Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources, where we can go instead of the USDA's website to get information that is up to date and helpful for folks. That would be incredibly helpful, for the best pointer for people who are asking for help from a trusted government source.
I would also say, I know that it adds additional labor to what is already a limited bandwidth for all of you, but the truth of the matter is that everyone here is a trusted voice. And, we're operating with no norms. We are used to operating where there are new policies rolled out. We have people that we can talk to about guidance in the implementation of those policies. Then we are fully informed, and then we can fully inform you, but you can also double back to those people. They have taken a complete sledgehammer to the infrastructure of the federal government, and all communication channels are just propaganda. It is all mis and disinformation. So I do not have an alternative federal source for you, but it does create an additional burden on all of us to share information, to platform accurate information, and to be those trusted voices. And I will tell you, many of our shared constituents, that even when I have the information, they are so afraid to engage government. even if they trust me about where am I putting that information and how could that be commingled and that be shared. So, which raises a larger point here, which is that any family that is confronted with hunger is also likely being confronted with cuts to Medicaid and their ability to access critical health care, and also inability to access housing that is affordable, or dealing with the trauma of seeing families torn apart all around them, and the intimidation of ICE. So again, we are navigating layered crises. The only way out is through, and it is with solidarity. I'll just close and say, during the pandemic, which was wholesale harm, just like what we're experiencing, although that harm was not discriminate. This is discriminate, precise, intentional harm. That being said, we innovated. Things that we have been saying forever could not be done. Universal basic income. Yes, we can feed every hungry child. Yes, we finally understand that childcare is an essential workforce. I mean, and the challenge was, on the other side of that, would we default to an unjust status quo, or would we reinvent new systems? And what happened is that some of those things remained. So as oppressive as this all is, there is also opportunity in this crisis for us to be nimble, for us to innovate, for us to establish new infrastructure that will remain when we get to the other side of this. And then, Ron, I want to say to your point about how long will this be going on. Look, I've been in Congress 7 years. When I was elected, we were the first freshman class to be onboarded in the midst of a federal government shutdown. So I came into Congress in a shutdown. We never left. We were there 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day while our leadership was negotiating with their leadership so that we could pass a bipartisan spending bill and reopen the government. This is unheard of. They are not staying at the table. They can't be at the table because they're not even in the building. So the way to stop this pain is to end this government shutdown, and they need to return to work, and we need to negotiate. So
Could be a while though, right?
Well,
He's trying to figure out that time. He's like, what is the time? Okay, how long? Okay.
you know what? I will say this. I do think that I have constituents in Republican districts that are writing me, emailing me, calling me, saying, will you come here? And I've gone to some of those districts and done town halls because they said, my rep won't meet with me. So I do think they are going to start to feel the pain because they have a president that is moving in a punitive and vengeful way that thinks he's just harming blue states and Democrats. But soon enough, they will come to understand that they are harming everyone. And those people are raising their voices. So I'm sorry that there's so much pain. I know.
Can I ask a crazy question?
You can.
Well,
Yes, please do it in front of all the press. Please, Ron, ask your crazy question.
The expectation is that whatever benefits are not happening now will come back, right? So if somebody is supposed to get food stamps in November, they may get delayed. Maybe they could get them, say when it ends, all of it will
You're
come
asking
back
retroactive? Yes. I cannot tell you that.
I don't know. Okay.
I'm not. In fact, I think it is very much the opposite. Really? I need someone from my team to confirm that. Okay. Not in full, just partial.
Okay.
Everyone, I know you've been working closely with Mateo in my office, who is our liaison on all matters of food access and food justice. I hope there was a sign-in sheet or something, but if not, everyone please be in touch with Mateo about trends and things that you're seeing, problems that you're having procedurally, things that we might be able to refine and improve upon. And as you have these substantive questions, like do people get their benefits back retroactively, anything like that, please do be in touch with us. Because if we don't, if right now it's a negative answer, there are levers, there's soft power that I can use even in the minority where we might be able to improve some of those things, okay? So I thank all my colleagues in government. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your exhaustive efforts to stand in the gap. Thank you to all of our dedicated community partners. Now we're still transitioning to, okay, I'm going to transition for whoever wants to stay. I know people have very demanding schedules. There will be a brief presser here, and you're welcome. And at a minimum, please purchase something here. Okay? Okay, please fill a basket. All right?